And we're back. Josh and I.
We are back.
Yeah, we're having fun because this right here, my friends, is the Talon 1000R. Yesterday we came to you with the 1000X, and that video is also on YouTube as well. But today we want to update you on this machine, which is actually quite different than the 1000X model. This 1000R is wider, 68.4 inches. It's got more suspension travel. It's got over 20 inches of travel on the back with a basically 4+ link system on there. So,
and Fox 2.5 shocks.
Yeah.
2.5, and the X is 2.0.
Those are money. Those are money right there. Still the same QS3 shocks, so they have a 3-position adjuster on there. But I think it feels so much different because this 1000R has a true dual rate setup, front and rear on the suspension, and it's got crossover adjustment. So really, in reality, versus the 1000X where you could sort of dial it into your liking, the 1000R really allows you to dial it in and make some adjustments if you want to. If you don't want to, this thing's great in stock form. So I think we drove it for, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours today.
Yeah, about that.
You were impressed, I think, with your impressions?
I was impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very different from the 1000X. Like the difference in travel and certainly the width are night and day. It handles the big whoops. I was going to say a little bit of the jumps.
Yeah.
We didn't really get a chance to air this thing out.
Not enough.
But this is definitely a sport machine, and it's definitely hit the sand or the desert, high speed. You can have a lot of fun with it. You can spin it around and bring it back, and you can unload the suspension on the jumps, and it's just a lot of fun.
It is.
It's very, very different from the 1000X. Not only, in my opinion, are you gonna, if you're a trail person, more of a trail person than not, then you're gonna want the 1000X because of its width. It's competitive with others in its category. If you want something that really width doesn't matter because you're out in the open, then what you're gonna want is the 1000R.
Yeah.
Because as far as the ride, this is superior than the X, and it's science. It's physics and it's science as to why that is.
Yeah.
It's a ton of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, I think more to your point. I mean, at the end of the day, so being that it has a little bit wider of a track width and that better suspension, it not only goes through the washboard or stutter bumps better and smoother, but so more slow speed stuff, it does actually, I think, a lot smoother than the 1000X.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, and even when you get up high, I mean, at higher speeds, this thing takes the big hit, and you can roll through the whoops. Now, it's not, I'm not gonna say it's like trophy truck style where it's going through the whoops, but
it's not trophy truck style.
Yeah, it doesn't rebound like it's out of control. It's very composed. It stays straight and tracks straight. I think actually one of the biggest things is one of our critiques a little bit with the 1000X is that the machine didn't track straight all the time. With the wider, with the width extended, and then also with these same tires from Maxxis on here, I feel like these tires are better suited to this 1000R because it tracks straight. It's a really actually predictable machine.
Very predictable.
So you're not, you're not.
And I just want to say, when he says track straight, mm-hmm. it means where you point it goes.
Yeah. Right.
And I think that Casey is an expert at this kind of environment. And so he says things sometimes that are like the trail person like me until I learn what it meant. I don't know. But when it tracks straight, mm-hmm. that's what it means, is it goes in the direction you point it, even at higher speeds, and definitely predictable. I think that's so important when you get outside of just tooling down the trail. When you start doing stuff at higher speeds and cornering at higher speeds, you want a machine that is predictable. When you do it once and you do it a second time and a third time and a fourth time, it needs to do the same thing every time so you know what it's going to do. And then you gain the confidence to hit stuff you've never ridden before, but you know what the machine is going to do. Mm-hmm. And not all machines do that. Anywhere close, actually.
Right.
You've got ones out there that don't track straight and are not predictable, and that makes you hold back, and which holds back the fun, quite frankly. If this is the kind of riding you like to do, if you want to push, you want
That's
predictable.
Yeah,
You know?
and if for anybody used to like a motocross bike or a race quad or anything like that, I mean, this is what this machine was modeled after, because you can set the front end and go into a corner, and I mean, Josh, we were having fun like setting it a little sideways, and you can really just drive it all the way around, whether you're in 2-track trail ruts or whether it's a free-flowing corner or anything. It's very predictable in all those situations, and it never feels, at least from my standpoint, I didn't think it ever felt tippy.
No, I don't either. And the track width, the width makes a huge difference when you're talking about feeling tippy.
Yeah.
And especially in the dunes, even more than just in open desert.
Agreed.
Like in the dunes, what sand does, I've learned.
I'm the sand guy, apparently.
He's the sand guy by far.
Yeah.
And when sand does funny things compared to hard pack.
Yeah.
And that extra width keeps it from feeling like you're body rolling yourself too much. It's just a different ball game than like a 64-inch machine. No matter what that 64-inch machine is, this just feels more stable. I mean, it's wider. Yeah. Makes sense, right? It's science.
It does. Yeah, it does. I think, and part of that too is the fact that it's got. We can get into powertrain, I think, at this point too.
Sure.
But
yeah.
Very similar to the 1000. It is the same. Excuse me. As the 1000X, the powertrain.
Yeah, exact same thing.
So that being able to have the automatic transmission with regular mode, then a sport mode, and then also having the manual that's shiftable with the paddle shifters on the steering column, that ability to be able to shift manually really only aids in the driving characteristics of this machine. I mean, you can downshift it when you want to set it up for corners. You can leave it in full auto mode and just go
Which
out
is
and
pretty
enjoy.
much what I did.
Yeah, and
I pretty much just leave it in auto mode.
It's really nice because it's smooth. Whether you're taking off, or going fast, the shifts are smooth no matter what. One of the things too that we got to do today, this is Sand Hollow, and if you haven't been to Sand Hollow, they've got a lot of open dunes, but they also have some really tight slick rock trails, essentially, kind of like a Moab sort of feel, where you've got some loose sand on the top, and then the slick rock, so slick rock sand, essentially, but it's hard packed. So when we were crawling up those, we put it in low range, and that low range really helps this machine, and it allows you to crawl up at about 2 to 3 miles an hour.
Yeah, 2 to 3 miles an hour.
And it's very helpful. Even with a manual machine, it's very smooth. The dual clutch engages obviously very smooth, and the i4-wheel drive system, again, it actually works. I still want a fully locking diff.
I'm with him 100%. I want to choose to lock the front end in the front end in. But I will also say, even in our experience today, like 98% of the time, unless you're rock crawling, like serious rock crawling, and you want the tires, you don't want the tire to sidestep on you.
Right.
When outside of that, this works great.
Yeah, if you're going to be going to Moab and doing some of the lesser trails, or you're going to come to Sand Hollow or some of those locations, and not doing like a King of the Hammer style rock crawl where you're going over 2-foot boulders, this thing's going to work great. It's going to work great in the sand. It's easy to do. It comes in and out of 4-wheel drive with just the flick of a switch at any speed, which was really nice. Some machines only go in and out of 4-wheel drive under like 10 miles an hour. So overall, I think the 4-wheel drive and the powertrain system in this machine is great. The other thing that we would say is that I think it's got plenty of power for a majority of the situations that you're in. It's only when you're in the big sand dunes that you really you only you feel like you need a little bit more power. The beauty of it is the manual transmission allows you to make up a little bit of that by downshifting and being able to plan your shifts a little bit better. But overall, I would say this has got plenty of power.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw my hat in on that. I agree with Casey that in most situations, when it comes to the power, because that's what everybody wants to know, well, what about the power? It's got plenty of power. There are times, and I totally agree that it shined today, kind of shined a light on this. For me, in the sand and with not as much experience, there were times where I wish it had more power. I don't know if that's a combination of the transmission shift, right when I want to have that extra oomph to go over something, right before you start up it, You want to gas it to lift the front end just a little bit, and there are times it just wouldn't do that for me.
Yeah.
But I also, to be completely fair, I didn't have the throttle response quite worked out. So that takes more practice than what I got today. I would like to see it ultimately have a little more power, so that in those situations it has a little more power. However, in a straight line, I mean, we didn't get to like max it out or anything today. I would say you've got 65, 70 mile an hour machine here, maybe more. And it gets there pretty fast. Like when we have the opportunity to hop on the gas and go, it downshifts, and there's plenty of power there.
Yeah, it'll take you all the way. Up to like an 8,500, 9,000.
Yeah, 9,000. I think it redlines at like 10 or something like that. I would have to look. It's up there. It's a high revving engine. So all of you who are going to say, "What about the power? What about the power?" It's completely competitive for what's in this segment. Honda has said they have no intention, at least this is what they're saying, of making a turbo for it. They're going to rely on the aftermarket to do that. I will also say on the power question, it does not take away from the fun of it that it doesn't have more than the 103 and 104 horsepower. Like, it's a fun machine. And unless you're the guy who knows what they're doing, you're never going to max this thing out. Like, everybody wants the most horsepower, and frankly, a lot of people don't need as much horsepower as they've got in these turbo versions, because you're never going to touch that.
That's a whole nother argument.
Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. And I know a lot of you right now are like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Trust us. We know what we're talking about. But I get it. I get that the appeal of the more horsepower, but actually in practice and in use, you're not touching that kind of horsepower in what you're in most driving environments.
Yeah.
Yep. So we talked powertrain, transmission. I think it's important to say again, the transmission has a fully automatic mode, which it does everything for you, and you just rocker switch it in. It also, in the fully automatic mode, it has kind of mess around mode, like normal everyday riding, and then you could throw it into sport mode, so that it holds the gear longer before it shifts. Which is a lot of fun. We drove a lot in sport mode. I know that was my preference when both yesterday and today.
Sport,
So it's important to note that it comes with those two modes. And then, do you want to move on to the inside?
Yeah.
I think kind of touch on that again from yesterday, because the interior is identical.
Yeah.
Like, it's identically the same.
I think the beauty of it is, and the big point is that, Honda quality, and we all know this from the automotive side, but Honda quality is apparent throughout this entire thing. There are no rattles within this vehicle.
And they've been beaten on.
Yeah.
Like, this is these units they're bringing out, other editors, and frankly, the group that's super aggressive rode these yesterday. And out here, they get beat on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of crazy, actually. And yet, we pick them up today, there's no visible wear in the steering. There's no rattles. That's just unheard of.
And that's whether we're talking powertrain or inside.
Yeah, I mean, it's a quiet machine. And frankly, even brand new off the dealer floor, a lot of competitors, as soon as you put it onto the trail, it already is rattling.
Yeah.
It's all Honda in that respect. It just is. It's built super tight.
Yeah, it's a testament to their quality for sure.
Oh, can I throw this out too? Yeah. And the chassis, we talked about it yesterday in the video. Because it's one piece, it has so little flex. It's completely, you cannot feel flex, and we tried. We're drooping, suspension, and we're hitting rocks and going over like legit rocks. And there's supposed to be flex in the chassis. What I mean by that, there shouldn't be.
Yeah, right.
But most machines have flex, and this thing does not flex. No. It's just suspension flex. It's pretty amazing. That's just an amazing thing.
Yeah,
it's unheard of.
Absolutely, and the whole, everything looks really good on this machine. I'll step away here for a second, but from the front, all the way down the sides where it's got that CRF style body lines, and then it's got a nice flat top ROP system on it. And then you have the C-pillars in the back where the cage molds back into the rear bumper. Again, it's all quality. It bolts onto the back. You've got plenty of storage in the rear cargo area. And then as we work our way forward, the seats, again, they've got nice bolstering. The driver's seat's adjustable, and it's got a great slider system on it.
Yeah, super easy to use.
Yeah, I mean, the sand doesn't get stuck in it, you know, or anything like that. So it's super easy to use. You've got handlebars basically for a passenger grab handle that's got a quick adjuster on it. And then the dash in the middle has a couple storage compartments. I will say, I don't know, you know, a lot of manufacturers are getting more into the technology front. For a first, I'm not going to dock the Talon for lacking on technology, but at the same time, it's got a pretty basic dashboard on it and stuff. So
I will say the instrument cluster is pretty sporty looking.
Yeah,
I like the instrument cluster a lot.
It's got big readouts, so you can see your speed and you can see your RPM, you know, and stuff when you're on there. So that's good. But otherwise, you feel very safe. I mean, the doors are awesome on this. I would actually leave the nets on there if it were me, just because it adds that safety factor, you know, when you're in the vehicle. So.
And I will say, because I'm Mr. I hate nets guy.
Yeah.
I will say that the way they've designed them,
yeah,
I would leave them on there too.
Yeah, and it's
like,
it's easy too. I mean, you basically.
I mean, it's an extra step,
right,
but it's an easy extra step.
You can see the quality, and when it shuts, it doesn't rattle.
Yeah,
and it's just a snap. So, again, super easy, quality, as we said. So, I don't think there's anything too much on the interior.
Yeah, and it's sporty looking inside. We commented yesterday on that.
Yep.
It's definitely, you're buying a sport machine and it looks like a sport machine.
Yep. So I think that's basically all the points. You know, the only thing on this machine, the rock sliders are not stock. The front half windshield, quarter windshield is not stock either. And this is actually a really good quarter windshield.
The guards on the front and rear are not stock.
Yeah.
I don't know if that one has, yeah, it has it up there.
All things that are great accessories and things that we would add, but at the same time, you know, those are accessories. You do get the roof.
You get the roof.
Yeah, on every model, on either model, the X or the R. So that's a huge addition that we really enjoy too. So I think that's everything that I wanted to kind of go over.
I'm just trying to think what we've left out and the questions that we'll get. Feel free to leave us comments at the bottom, and if you want to ask questions about the two machines or the Talon in general.
Yeah. Overall, it's a very fun machine to drive.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
If you're into motocross bikes and you're into quads or anything, and you want more of a sporty feeling, sport side by side, if that makes sense, this thing drives really like a sport machine. It's super fun to throw into corners, handles really well, it's comfortable, and it's just a great overall ride. So kudos to Honda on their first rendition of this.
I'm really impressed for just the first version to come out and be as good, and in some cases better than the competition.
They spent the time, and it's rewarding, and it shows. So kudos Honda.
Yeah.
We'll be back for more, I think, in the future.
Yeah, we're going to do a full review video, an actual review video on it. And like I said, ask us questions, and we'll be back in the near future with a different machine to bring you our thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel.